So, when I discuss the topic of Zoroastrianism, uh, there's so many things that people start to bring forth that are so deeply entrenched in liberal concepts that it's hard to even have a discussion uh, about the basics. For instance, when we talk about uh, the Babylonian captivity of the Jews, uh, pre-exilic, post-exilic, we start falling into these other areas of how the Bible came to be, how the Bible came to be written. How is it that the topic of Zoroastrianism is so deeply entrenched in concepts like the documentary hypotheses? Um, we get into the concept of monotheism. We get into this concept of virgin birth with Christianity. Uh, but what we can see is that Zoroastrianism had no concept of virgin birth, none whatsoever. And yet, this idea continues to be perpetuated. They talk about a concept of a Messiah, when this concept is a somewhat universal concept in itself, aside from the fact that the Zoroastrian idea had very little resemblance to the Jewish idea, or ideas, I should say. And yet, again, these ideas continue to be perpetuated without real concern of scholarship. I mean, basically, the more you say it over and over, and the more prestigious you are of a scholar, the more people tend to believe you. Even if you are just hinting at a notion or a speculation, suddenly over time it becomes some sort of a fact, which is what so many of my comments on my videos of individuals have stated, that it is a fact. This is a fact. Zoroastrianism influenced Judaism and Christianity, but the reality is that no, it is not a fact. And we have so many ideas in life that are perpetuated upon us. Things that we believe that we've never questioned. And so I ask you this, question your fundamental concepts of, of what you believe about how the Bible came to be written, and question those theories of the documentary hypotheses, because a lot of this is entrenched in a modern thought, like a modern, actually German thought, stemming forth from a German scholar by the name of Wellhausen about 100 years ago. And he really didn't understand the Jewish concepts of God, the Jewish concept of, more specifically, the name of God, which is why the documentary hypothesis was built upon a faulty premise regarding the name of God. Which is why we get into this whole theory of the Elohist and the Yahwist, different schools, which are completely reliant upon a theory. We have no archaeological evidence. We have no textual evidence these schools ever existing. And yet, suddenly, over time we get scholars who speculate upon speculations, and then upon those speculations they speculate upon, and pretty soon we get this concept of the force source theory, and the idea that the Torah, the first 5 books of the Jewish scriptures, were somehow assembled over a long period of time, and that there is a great majority of material within those first 5 books that are somehow post-exilic. Now, why is that important? Well, because post-exilic means that if those ideas were Zoroastrianism, were in Zoroastrianism, that somehow the Jewish captivity had something to do with these ideas of monotheism and messianic ideas were somehow infused into the Jewish religion. And so that's why the documentary hypothesis seems to fit very nicely into this whole Zoroastrianism being an influence in Judaism. However, first you have to convince me that the documentary hypothesis is indeed a very believable concept. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's still very much a speculation, and it certainly has not been proven in any way, shape, or form. When I speak in that manner, I'm basically addressing the majority of the premise of the four source theory, but in that regard, let's just say there's way too many people that are comfortable with the speculation of the four source theory as being fact when it is not. And so despite the fact that they teach this in a lot of colleges and seminaries, and folks, I'm not convinced, because just because everybody's teaching it and everybody's believing it doesn't mean that it's a viable teaching. I mean, look at it for yourself and decide for yourself. It's like there's been a lot of things throughout history that we have taught ourselves. We've gone to learn about. And I'll give you an example. For instance, the doctors used to believe that bloodletting was good for the body. That you went to the barber shop, you wanted to to let go of a little bit of blood in your system, because it was good for the body. And nowadays we know that, of course, it's just nonsense. So, this is just one example of, how medicine has progressed and how science has continued to progress. I'm basically, by stating that I believe that Judaism influenced Zoroastrianism, I'm taking a stand, okay? I'm taking a stand against the system, and I'm saying, are we going to let our educational system sit in a stagnation of speculations in regard to biblical studies, or are we gonna let our learning progress forward? I feel like I'm the one who's being painted as the the person who's trying to set up some sort of a status quo, but no, I think that in reality it is actually the opposite. the camp of individuals who are promoting the idea that Zoroastrianism influenced Judaism, or for that matter, influenced the majority of the world's religions. They are the ones who are perpetuating a status quo. They are the ones who are causing a stagnation in our thought, in our ability to move forward. And really, I mean, use your common sense in these areas. We need to be honest, about what is speculation, to the point of really grasping at straws. I mean, it's great to speculate, and as I've said before, I speculate all the time, but I don't call my speculation fact, and I do not. If I'm going to make any leap, more of a leap of faith in some area, I'm definitely going to point that out. And I don't think it's a great leap of faith to believe that Judaism influenced Zoroastrianism. When you study the facts, you learn them for yourself. As I said in the beginning, you can go one way or the other, but it really depends upon your framework of history. How are you going to look at history? And let's be honest about it. I mean, if you're a minimalist, and you're going to minimalize certain things about history that others are not, that we're going to take into account, and we're not going to ignore certain facts, then yeah, you're gonna come up with a different conclusion. But let's see it on both sides, and let's stop trying to shout each other down here. Which I've been at this series now for a good 4 years, 4.5 years maybe, and I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep going and pointing out these things until I feel that a sufficient amount of saturation has occurred in the interwebs, on the intertubes. So that's just what I've been thinking about lately, and God bless you all. And again, I just say keep seeking truth, okay? Because the moment you stop seeking truth is the moment that you lose grasp of it, okay? So it's important that we always keep seeking, and that we do not rest in our laurels. So God bless everyone, and I look forward to my next video.